Hello everybody! So are you an expert at resizing Ubuntu partitions running on a Proxmox? This is Stef from Samayas and welcome to my channel. Well, me, personally, that's not something that I do or need to do a lot. I've been running Pi-hole on my production server to filter out ads and other stuff. Well, I hate to admit it, but I'm still running Pi-hole at version 5.18. And the main reason is that I'm stuck, and at this time I can't upgrade. My Pi-hole server is running on Ubuntu 23.10, and well, Pi-hole requires a newer version of Ubuntu. So that should be easy, right? As long as I have a disk space to first upgrade my Ubuntu server. And therein lies the problem. My physical server has enough disk space, but not my Ubuntu server. And since resizing Ubuntu partitions is not something what I have a lot of experience with, I decided to document it for next time when I need it. So let's dig in. So the easiest way to connect to my Ubuntu Pi-hole server is by using PuTTY. And in general, when you want to update Pi-hole, it's very simple. It's Pi-hole-up. So let's have a run of that. And so now the first thing it wants me to do is to do a sudo apt update. And then here we're stuck. Since Ubuntu version 23.10 of course is out of support, let's try to do a sudo do release update. And I say yes. And now here we already see the issue, right? No space left on this device. So let's have a look how many disk space we actually have available on this Ubuntu. So when we look at the result, at first sight, our boot partition still has 1.6 GB. However, our system partition only has 18 MB, which is rather catastrophic. So let's try to fix that. So now I've connected to my Proxmox server, I went to my VM, and let's try to add some extra disk space. I go to hardware, and this part is quite easy. I currently have a hard disk of 30 GB, and I select my disk, and then I have disk action, and here I have the resize button, and I'll increment with 20 GB. Easy, right? And it's done. And now my disk has 50 GB. Now let's rerun df or disk free again, and at first sight nothing has really changed. Now let's do an lsblk again, or list logical blocks, and here we can see that our SDA, which is our disk, has changed from 30 to 50 GB. So we're making progress. So the first thing we should do is we should grow our SDA tree to 50 GB. And for that we're going to run our sudo grow partition def SDA tree. And so we've changed our partition. Now let's rerun our lsblk, and we can clearly see that our SDA tree has become 48 GB. So we're making progress. So next we're going to call again sudo pvresize. PV is physical volume resize, and we're resizing our SDA tree. And if now we rerun our lsblk, nothing has changed. If we do have a look at our disk, nothing has changed. Next, under our SDA tree, we have a Ubuntu logical volume, which is still limited, and now we need to extend this one. And for that we're going to call our lvextend, or logical volume extend, where we're going to take 100% on the volume def/mapper/ubuntu -vg -ubuntu -lv. And now that is extended, let's rerun our lsblk. Now we can see that our logical volume also has become the same size from our SDA tree. However, if we rerun our disk free, we are still quite limited. And the final step is we need to resize our file size. And for that, we're going to run again sudo resize to file size, and we again specify the def mapper ubuntu -vg -ubuntu -lv. And if we now look at our disk free, and now if we look at our root system, suddenly we have 33 GB. So that was successful. Now in order to resize our Ubuntu, we have 4 distinct and clear steps. First the grow part, then the pvresize, then the lvextend, and then finally the resize to fs. So the grow part extends the partition itself, and it fills the newly available space on the physical disk. The growpart utility modifies the partition table by changing the end sectors of the partition tree on disk def SDA tree to use all available and unallocated space. It operates at partition level and can run on a live system without requiring reboot. But this is just the first step. So after having resized the partition, the next step is to resize the LVM or physical volume partition. And for that, we execute pvresize, or physical volume resize. And we also specify our dev SDA3, which is a device we've previously extended. And so this command resizes the physical volume to matches the extended partition size. However, Ubuntu is using logical volume manager and not physical ones. And so after having resized our physical volume, next we can attack our logical volume. And for that, we call our lvextend, or our logical volume extender. And here we specify -l plus 100% free to allocate 100% of the new available space. Of course, if you want less, we can of course change the +100 to +50, +25, etc. And the last parameter doesn't specify a physical device anymore, but our logical volume, which exists under dev mapper ubuntu-vg-ubuntu-lv from logical volume. And after our logical volume is done, the only thing that is still missing is extending the file system. And for that, the fourth command, resize to fs, is doing just that. And here again, we specify our dev mapper ubuntu-vg-ubuntu-lv, which is our logical volume. And here again, our file system will be matched to the maximum size of our previously extended logical volume. Easy, right? And I'm finally ready to upgrade my Ubuntu 23.10 to the next version. And for that, I'll call a sudo do release upgrade, and now I'm up and running. I check yes to continue, and this time I should have enough space. I want to continue. I choose yes to clean up 39 unused packages. And so a couple of days later, my upgrade is finished, but it's still a hell of a lot faster than on Windows. So now I'll reboot. Well, for the Ubuntu experts, you probably didn't learn anything new. For the rest, I hope you did. If you guys enjoy this content, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell sign. Or leave a comment down below.